Hey guys, welcome. In this video we're going to talk about fully qualified names. So again, we'll go with two files. Make a class library, so a new project here. And then choose a class library. There you go. Give it some name like here. mathlib for math library. Alright, click OK. Now when this happens, in my case it exists already, so I just have to change it to say mathlib ops or something like that. It doesn't really matter that much what you call it, as long as you remember what the name is. It's a math library ops. Click OK. Alright, so here what I'm going to do is delete this code, and I will drag some code I made earlier, comment that out, and that's the one here. Okay, let me comment this out. Okay, now let's go through this code and create it again. So using system, and now you're going to say here namespace, and then math ops lib, like this, math ops library. Okay, so now within this, believe it or not, you can create different namespaces. Okay, so for example, maybe you have a namespace for arithmetic, like this. Okay, and then within here you might have a public class and give it the name adding machine. There you go. So we have a namespace that's MathOps library. Within that namespace we have an arithmetic namespace. Maybe you have a calculus namespace. You can have all kinds of namespaces, right? So here, let's take a look at the body of adding machine. And this is going to be an accumulator, so it's going to do this. You're going to say here double sum equals 0. Okay, and the header of this method will be public static, so it's a class level one. You can call it directly to the class name. Double and then add, and now you're going to use the params keyword here. So params a double like this. There you go, x. So this is going to return us a double after it's accepted a variable number of doubles to sum together inside the body here. So here, let me do that. There you go. So double sum equals 0. That's the initial value. Then you're going to say for inti, and close that with a semicolon also. Alright, so it looks like this. There you go. Okay, so for inti, and now you're going to say here 0i is less than x.length, and then I plus plus. What we are going to do is sum these values. So that will take this shape here. You're going to say sum plus equals, and then you're going to grab x with a subscript I and close that with a semicolon. So we're going to reach into this array here where the values are passed in, and then what we're going to do is sum together all those values like this using the for loop. And at the end we will type here return sum and close that with a semicolon like this. Okay? So we have using system, and let's take a look. Let me delete this. So this is our main. Okay, let's organize the using. See, not even that one is needed. That's it. So nothing. Okay? So namespace, MathOps library. Within that we have a namespace called arithmetic. Within that we have a class called adding machine. And within that we have a method called add. The return that is static, so you can call it on the class directly. Right? It returns a double. It accepts a variable number of double arguments. Remember, params double, that's an array. Okay, and the name of it is x. So alright, then within here we declare, you set the double sum equal to 0 at first, then you're going to use a for loop. And this syntax right here, of course, is going to extract the value at each index inside the double x array here, and then sum it, and then add it to the sum. Okay, so at the end we'll have the total sum of all of the entries supplied. Alright, so that's that. Let's give this a build. Okay, this is not a trivial example. This example is somewhat, at least realistic in a certain sense in terms of complexity. Alright, so what we want now from here is, let's get the path like this. Copy that. That's where it is located. Okay, so now what we can do is, let's close this, and file, new, project, and then a class library and console application this time, and just leave the name as it is. Click OK. Let it load the usual template. Alright, so the first thing that we are going to do is add a reference like this. So right click, add reference, and of course choose browse over here. Right, take this whole path and then paste in the other one, hit enter, and that gives us access to mathlibobs.dll. Select that, click OK. Alright, so we have that, and now let's delete this here, like that. And now we're going to say here using, and then we're going to say mathops lib dot, and then arithmetic, and then close that with a semicolon. So what we have done is reached into our DLL by typing mathops_lib.arithmetic. Remember, those are two namespaces. So this is one namespace, and then arithmetic here is another namespace. Within that is the class. Okay. So to reach into the class now, what I'm going to do is let me start off the screen. I can push this on the bottom. Let me drag this in here and comment it out so I have it for reference. There you go. As you can see, this is not a trivial example. And now what we're going to say here is console.writeLine, and then you're going to call the adding machine class. Notice that comes up, right, because we have the mathops_lib.arithmetic, and then the adding machine is available and .add. And now you can specify a variable number of arguments. So 1, 2, some number of arguments like that, and then close out with a semicolon. Alright, and then of course let's do here console.read and then key, close out with a semicolon. Let me delete this now. So that looks like this. Okay, let's give it a build. Build succeeded, magnificent. Alright, so let's give it a start, one full go without debugging of any kind. And it's simple. It shows us 28.1 as the value of the sum of the entries inside adding machine.add. Now, by fully qualified names, we mean names that reach to the outermost namespace. So if you don't want to use mathops_lib.arithmetic up in the top, but you want to use adding machine, you can get rid of it. Highlight that, comment that out, and then you can type here math. You have to be careful here, ops, and then lib dot, and then arithmetic dot adding machine. Okay, you see this is an FQN. So first namespace, then there's another namespace, that's what the dot notation indicates. Then there's the class name, and then lastly within the class is the method called add. Okay, so you can think of the mathops_lib.arithmetic.adding_machine.add as the fully qualified name of that function, of that method. Now, of course, if you don't want to do it that way because it's very long-winded, obviously, especially imagine if you have several nested namespaces, it could be a very tricky and unattractive thing. Just take this, comment that out, and then the name adding machine.add should be properly resolved to the namespace mathops_lib.arithmetic. So it should be resolved to the arithmetic namespace. It should be found there. Okay, and that is it for this video. Thank you very much, and I hope that this has all made sense to you. When you work with the .NET framework, some of the namespaces can be a little bit long-winded, and again, you want to definitely put them up there in the using block and then just access the class directly if possible. But that is it for this video. So thanks very much, and I will see you in the next video.